Former LSU wide receiver, I'm sure you all have heard, Kyren Lacy, died from what's being called an apparent. Now remember, Lacy was facing criminal charges from a fatal car accident back in December that tragically killed 78-year-old Herman Hall. And then Kyren Lacy, as of yesterday, he left this earth, dying by what is believed to be an apparent. After I saw that Kyren Lacy died yesterday, Shady, my first thought was I want to, and I believe we have to be more intentional about bothering people. What I mean by bothering people, bother people that are going through things.
Yeah.
But it's the bounce. It's making sure that someone is there to catch you upon the bounce. It's not the initial blow that will crush you, whether it's a private blow or a public blow. It's what happens on the bounce.
You don't cry, bruh. We don't cry. We ain't got time to be doing all this type stuff.
Look, I know this is potentially, I'll come out and say a controversial video because, look, I don't absolve the young man of, what led up to, this being a, resolute decision for him in his mind. He was going to have to face accountability for what he did. And, he did lead, things to someone losing their life in a tragic accident, from what it sounds like, should have been avoidable. And, his guilty conscience was weighing on him, thus leading him to do this horrendous deed. And, my sympathy goes out to his family. It's always survivors that have to deal with, the heartache, the pain, as well as, the victim of that accident in Louisiana, the 78-year-old man who unfortunately lost his life, man. But this is something that sparks an argument, that sparks conversations. Mental health, especially in the Black community, me being Black myself. I know we kiki, haha, and joke about any and everything, but everything ain't a joke though. You know what I'm saying? Like, we rag on each other so much, and despite all the things that we've been through as a people, especially Black Americans, FBAs, foundational Black Americans, our sense of unity is in tatters. Just tear a man down for this, that, and the third, whatever. Don't give a damn about our fellow human being. Don't want somebody to care about us. Especially nowadays, it's the most selfish generation's time, people, privilege, to be amongst. But all that being said, man, sounds like a young man who, wasn't trying to shy away from accountability, for what he did. Just dealt with it in all the wrong ways, man. And you just, it aches your heart because people, if you get to my age, that unfortunately, made bad decisions, self-inflicted wounds, certain things, just victim of their circumstances. Or I could say they allowed themselves to become victims and perpetuating, certain, stereotypes, letting that, continue to fester, live, breathe, reside in them. But man, we gotta break, these certain, stereotypes and stuff. We gotta break these, these chains of bondage, man, because there's no way, someone should be walking through life, without the aid of others. We should be there for one another. And I agree with, Acho's first assessment. Check on people, man. Be bothersome. Never feel like you're being too much of a bother on somebody, man. You gonna tell me to hate you hate me, or stay away from me or whatever, man. I'm gonna stay on your ass until you force me away. I've been to more than my share of funerals, and I've had people that met tragic ends, and I refuse to hear that somebody gave up on themselves and gave up on this life, this beautiful gift that we've been given, called life. It's struggle. It ain't pretty, it's gritty, grimy, unfair. But man, it's because of those bad things that you can truly enjoy the good. When you're up, and reflect on that when you're down. Those kind of things carry you through life, man. And check on your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, your family. Your mothers, your aunts, your uncles, your grandfathers, grandmothers. Your in-laws. I don't even really see it as in-laws. You just your brother, your cousin, you're an uncle. It's crazy that I know you could be right next to somebody and not see them, not be in tune where they are, and they could be a million miles away, man. Hey, that's why it's so important to like really not just coast on people, not just pay your due, your dibble dabble, and just go deeper than what's up. Truly, be there for them, check in on them, and Archer was dead on with this. It's never the initial, event, but a cascading of subsequent ones that you end up succumbing to, and that deal the final blow and damage. Like, for him, it was this incident, that he was on the precipice of realizing his NFL dreams, man. 25-year-old, older as a prospect, so maybe even make the situation even more dire. But he was probably going to do time, and then, was going to most likely never be able to go out there and live his NFL dreams. Canada might have been waiting, or, arena football, but he most likely never would have, seen the inside of a facility in the NFL. So, led him to despair, man. And before you get there, subsequent, just, the degradation of his mental state, realizing that he's staring down the barrel of, a life without, his one thing he's been working hard for, to realize. And just the weight of that just absolutely crushed this young man. Like I said, I'm not absolving. He's not an angel. I'm not absolving him, But from one human being to another, one who is contemplating taking his own life when he was a teenager because things weren't the best. The situation wasn't pretty. There's so much to live for, man. Even if you I agree. James said you can't realize the NFL dreams. That's not the end all be all. Are you bigger than than football? It's way more to life than that. I wasn't able to become a zoologist like I wanted to, and if I'd have given up there and just let things in, I wouldn't be living where I am. I'm living outside the U.S. and of course things aren't perfect. Life ain't peachy, but I have a lot to be thankful for, bro. That fridge right there, you see that black one? It's full of food. I count that as one of my treasures, being able to eat 3 square meals plus snacks and other luxuries that I can afford. So it's the small things, and, James Jones talked about, his family and things he's come to treasure in life, and, being able to give, the privileged, spoiled experience to his kids that he never got growing up because he was, he grew up homeless. There's so many things to be thankful for, man. And leads right into number 4. Have someone to talk to. Therapy is recommended. I like that Shady. He was open and honest to say he goes twice a week, getting to know himself better and find out his triggers and things that help him know himself, because you're your own worst enemy in this life, you fortify the man that you are, the person that you are. You can become, indestructible, invincible, pretty much bulletproof to a certain extent. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's going to not go through their ebbs and flows and valleys and peaks, but finding a way to weather that, to have that consistent, calm, determined, stoic mindset throughout life. Learn how to carry that, man. It'll carry you far. And like I said, therapy is something that's so shunned in the Black community because, we don't We don't do that, but look at the scars, physical and literal, metaphorical, mental, psychological scars that we've endured throughout 400 plus years, being in America, being, taken away, given away, thrown away from our homes, and then making them, like, America's biggest export is black culture, because our pain has, brought riches, to most people that, to be honest with you, aren't black. But it's been a hell of a product, because even out of that brokenness came something beautiful. The art, the giftings, the smarts, the intelligence, the gifts, the products, the inventions, the research. I mean, it's been a hell of a bounce back effort. And yeah, man, it's therapy. I recommend it for everybody, man. Even if you're just therapeutically talking to someone, find someone, dude. It don't matter who it is. For men, I recommend, finding somebody in a group of men that you can trust, that you can be emotionally vulnerable with, and gotta shake these stereotypes of being tough and not being able to be vulnerable. Nah, man, Shady's right. Hey, because no man is an island. We're not meant to walk through this life solo. We're all meant to be interdependent, codependent on each other. It's a society. That's how we function. People talk about, I'm a boss. Where? I'm a boss. Bro, you are dependent on so many integral pieces of society and trades, and now we're internationally independent on each other. Yet we want to treat each other like certain ways and look at the value of a man by the exterior of his costume, his I love I saw a quote. You're not a soul probably in a body. I'm butchering it, but you're a brain. I mean, you don't have a skeleton inside you. You're a brain that is connected to a Gundam of a skeleton and piloting a mecha. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, I mean, don't get me, I'm the first, to tell you that. Exterior is important to some, degree, but we all know that, it's not, by the exterior that you measure the man. It's by the interior, the quality of his vessel. This is his character, So, I mean, I implore you, man. Man, woman, child, whoever is watching this, don't stay quiet, man. Talk to somebody, man. Communicate. You gotta call a hotline. It ain't lame. It ain't stupid. It ain't trivial. Your life matters, man. Your life matters. Take that shit seriously before you start, looking down the slippery slope of, well, I'm just taking up space. Nah, man. You're here because you're supposed to be here. And contrary to popular opinion, it's never too late to turn your life around. There was times, recent years I fell out of love with life. Because, things, I've been through a lot. Certain transpired, and it was just hard to see, like, the point of being like, man, what, bro, I'm just existentialist, right now, because what's the point? But, finding a way through that has allowed me to see the beauty of it again, and to some degree, I'm in love with life again. So, there's things I want to do, I want to accomplish, even at my advanced age, So, keep pushing. But anyways, we ain't talking about the Eagles, man. This is so much bigger than football. But I'm still an Eagles fan, so tell me, it's fly, Eagles fly. But really, I love what it symbolizes, freedom. So I hope you can not get your wings clipped. You can, soar above, the adversity, the trials and tribulations that you're facing, and come out on top. That's where you're meant to be. You are a conqueror. Go out there and do it. I ain't flim low, but that's the low, down, dirty.
like, comment, share, and subscribe if you like.
Thanks for watching. Check me out at Cintron, Cintron Anime, Cintron Life, or Cintron Laughs, or other social media.